So the today's agenda would be like we will be discussing on the Elasticsearch CRUD API. What I mean by the CRUD API here is the create, read, update, and delete. So traditionally in SQL system we used to do the stuff right, the create
Right,
command,
right.
delete. Similarly, we also be discussing those things here. And the
Mhm.
main concern or the main thing you have to notice here is every the interaction with the system is all through the REST API. You remember, right? I
Okay.
was saying that
Yes.
Elastic made the abstraction saying that everything would become the REST API. Here, all the interaction of the system is through the REST API only. That's one thing.
No.
So, if you faintly remember, there are like 10 to 15 important verbs or the actions in the REST APIs. The get
Okay.
command, post command, delete. You remember any of those things? Have you heard about that?
Yes, yes.
The get and post call, just to get the idea here. So you will have the get command, post command, delete, and the put command. So these are the different commands we might have heard some time back. These are the commands through which we will be interacting with the Elasticsearch directly. So let's
Okay.
jump into the part and try to get it. So install the Kibana and Elasticsearch in your server machine, right? Just a
Yes,
minute.
yes.
Hello. So we just have to pull that. So let's get that. So the first command to get the create the index is using the put command, which will create an index. Before that, let's we'll use the traditional command get underscore cat indices. So this command is equivalent to show database command. Hope you remember, right?
Yes, yes.
That's something called the show database command. On do firing this query, we will get the list of indexes present here. As I said last time, the databases are called as index. So the
Mhm.
command to retrieve the content is something called get underscore cat slash indices. That's the command we used to fire to get the indexes available. in the system. That's what to get it. And the now let's try to create a sample index. So the index name itself sample, I'm just using something called sample index. On firing this, on my right hand side, if you carefully notice here is, it says that acknowledge equal to true and short acknowledge is also true and index is sample index. So it acknowledge, let's verify whether it's been created using the cat command again. On firing the cat command again, can you see here? Sample index is
Yes.
being created here. So this
Yes.
indicates that document has been created and the index has been created, but still we didn't create any document inside it. Using like a create database command, it will be like empty, right? Empty, right, with empty without any tables. Similarly,
Mhm.
it is also empty here. Nothing happens here. The next step, what we have to understand is we have to create some document out of it. So let's create a document, some sample document sample index slash underscore doc, which is the type name. I'm giving one as my document ID. For my easy access, I'm just giving my document ID. I'm just giving name equal to India. Okay. And let's say like what is it I can say? Color is equal to maybe blue. Come on. So on firing this command, the post command, see I'm able to get the result here, or it gives me acknowledgement saying that on the right hand side. It says that the index with the name of sample index and type is underscore doc and ID with the version ID, so type 1, the ID number. and gets me all the content, result equal to created and shared equal to total and successful equal to one. You don't need to understand what is there in the second part, but you understood the first part, right? To create an
Yes.
index, we are using some command called put, which is like creating some resource or modifying some resource in the server. That's what the put command used to signify as. The second part, what you see here, and the post command here is it tries to create some sample document for our working purpose, or to create some, like we used to do in the create table command, create insert table, right? It's something very
Mm-hmm.
similar to the insert table. In this example, what we did is we created index first and then we created the document. It is not mandatory that we have to create the index first to begin our work. What we can do directly is I'm just creating the sample index 2 and my doc slash 1. I'm just copy pasting this exact content. See, I never had something called sample index 2 on, you can also verify here. There is nothing called sample index is only there. There's nothing called sample index 2. But on firing the post command itself, it says that I'm able to create the index as well as the document at the same time. There is no hardbound restriction like we do have in SQL, right? We have to create the
Oh,
table, we have to create the database and table, then the content. It's not mandatory like that. We can create the index and the document on the fly. There is no restriction here. And the important concept what we have to cherish here is I never specify what is the data type of the name or the color. You are seeing here, right? I never specified as a string or a varchar. It is understood by the default. You are understanding the key critical difference,
yes.
right?
Good, good. Good.
Right. So the we understood how to create the index and how to create a document. And
Right.
one more small variant here is like till this point we are able to create the document with our own ID, maybe a document ID 1 and 2 or a generic ID. It is not required for us to provide the document ID every time. It can automatically create its own ID. I'm just removing this ID and I'm firing it here. And if you carefully notice here, this point it says that my document ID is something very large, kind of a very hash number. Can you see here?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this is the hash number internally created by the Elasticsearch, but it's kind of a recommended practice that instead of you giving the document ID, if you allow Elasticsearch to itself to design the ID, it will be much more efficient. Because losing ID creation itself kind of a science behind the scene. Just give me a minute. I'm
Okay.
just getting a call from the water supply. Just give me a minute. Ma? Sorry about it.
That's okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to create your own ID. Elasticsearch or the loop itself can infer the ID on its own. That's
Hey,
the beauty. Sorry,
I can't see anything. And the screen sharing is gone. Oh yeah,
screen is
it
gone.
came up. Yeah, it came up.
Okay. So
So
can you see the ID? Sorry, Mackie, please
the
proceed.
yeah, the ID means that is a name of that particular document, or is it something like the name of the table?
I would say the ID is the row ID, what we have in SQL, right? Kind of a primary key.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Kind of primary key, it is not like order sequential. Or if you might have worked with something called UID in MS SQL. Have you heard of something called UID in my MS SQL?
No, I didn't work with MS or anything. I mean, I'm just
UID in, you just say MS SQL, they generate a record. It's also there in MySQL. Actually, in the recent version they have introduced it. UID is something like kind of a unique ID, like a Aadhaar number. They generate something that's very unique here. Can you see the number here?
Okay,
Kind
okay,
of a,
got it.
something of this sort. So this
Okay.
ID helps us to decide or helps us to distinguish the other documents in the system. It's kind of a raw ID, nothing fancy here. But this
Mhm.
document ID has some significance in making it in a better way. Let me change to maybe like a green. So now the command what I'm going to do is something like a select star command what we used to do in SQL, right? Something like
Right.
using the command because we are not doing any operation, we just retrieve the content, get sample index 2 slash underscore search. On doing this command is something very similar to the select star. Can you see the result here?
Yes.
Okay. So the document what we created with the document ID one is also existing with India and blue. And second document what we tried to create this, it's also with India blue, but it's on the own document ID. Third document ID is India and green. This is the last update what we made. Now it has two document ID. I said right, there is a small significance in getting the ID. Let me just paste in a better large screen.
Mhm.
And this is it. Can you see some difference here?
Uh, yeah, only the last part. One, two, three, four. Last four letters are having no. No, it's starting with okay.
The first four and the last four only actually changes in both of the document. Can you see here?
Right, right.
The first four and last four actually has it one significant. That's why I said right. Elasticsearch internally has some understanding of the document itself, like how it is like a combination of your timestamp, what timestamp the document is created. That's one thing, and second,
Mhm.
it consists of where the document itself located. It has some internal meaning. I just want you to take that point. That's the key
Okay.
fundamental idea here. Okay.
Mhm.
And when we start going inside the Elasticsearch folder, let's go into the folder and let's go into the data folder. Can you see the folders here?
Yes.
I'll just in a better way. If you carefully observe the document, if you fire again the get indices command, if you compare the documents here, can you see some similarity here? With this ID over here, can you see some similarity? Maybe let's just pick up the XQ. Maybe let me zoom it before. Can you see it now? Is it fine for
Yes,
you?
yes. Yeah.
Maybe let's find the sample index 2. Where's the sample index 2? TWSSX. That's the word we have, right? So
Right.
let's see where's the TW. Yeah, can you see here?
Yes.
So the document ID, what we are going to create here, it has its own ID. So there's this command we have, right? There's a one more variant of this command using question mark and V. On applying question mark and V, you will get something called a detail message with the heading.
Okay.
Can you see now? Earlier, we never had a heading with these kind of details. It says that health, status, the index name, and UUID, the universal identifier, and the primary and the replica, the docs count, doc deleted, storage size, and primary storage size, etc. These many details you have right.
Mm-hmm.
You have any questions till now? You are good to you're fine, right?
Yeah.
Great. So on the health part, if you notice here, you have something called yellow and you see something called green, right?
Mhm.
So just for a side note, health actually indicates that how's the shard is really performing in the system. There are like three kind of health indicators in Elasticsearch, which is something called red, yellow, and green. Green indicates that everything works fine out of the box, no problem, no trouble. Yellow
Okay.
indicates that there is some kind of problem or there is some kind of issue. Still, I have not failed yet, but there is a warning. I'm approaching failure. That's what it indicates for the yellow status. And
Okay.
the red status clearly indicates that I can't really work anything out of it. There's some big problem. Only if you correct, I can make some steps further. That's the indication it provides here. But if you notice here, the sample index 2, what we create itself contains the yellow status, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So can you just think out of the box? What could be the reason for it being yellow? Because we never did anything here, nothing fancy, just like two documents we have with the name and color, like two document field. What could be the reason here?
Mm, no idea.
Okay. So you remember the primary shard and the replica shard, right? What we
Yes.
discussed in the first. Hope you remember, right? Can you
Uh-huh.
just give a difference between the primary shard and the secondary replica shard, if you can recollect some points?
Primary shard is the one which is where we are storing the data, and secondary shard is the one which we are backing up the docs, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, perfect. That's like kind of a perfect one. Adding to your point, like the primary shard itself will be divided into multiple pieces. You remember, right? We have something called shard one,
Correct.
shard two, shard three, because to have the redundancy, have the better redundancy, and for a failover condition, we divide it into multiple pieces. And similarly, for the secondary shard or the replica shard, also will contain the same information. If you notice here, I never specified what is my primary shard count and replica shard count. I never specified what is my replication factor, or I never specified what is my size of my chunk. We never did anywhere, right? So these
Right.
important thing what you have to understand is Elasticsearch by default provides you the two basic configuration by the default configuration, which is that primary shard count is one and replica shard count is always one. Okay.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you notice here, can you see on the PRI and the REP column?
Yes.
So it clearly indicates the number of primary thing is one and the replication is one. And you remember, right? I also said something important on the first class saying that you can't create the replica in the same shard. You remember, right? In the same mission, I
Yes.
can't create a replica. What is the point of creating the replica in the same mission? As in this system, we don't have any secondary server attached here because the standalone installation. I don't have any another laptop or another node in my cluster or in my network. So it says that I can't create a replica shard. That's why it indicates saying that I'm still in the yellow status. But if you
Okay.
carefully notice the yellow column, green column, you will see small difference. Can you find the what is a small difference here?
Yeah, the replica is zero.
Yeah, being replica zero, it is able to satisfy the system constraint and it is in green status. Nothing to worry. As the default
Okay.
configuration, the replica should be zero. Now we don't have any trouble in using it. Now can you correlate right how it has been done?
Okay. So how to make this replica zero? Do we have to do some configuration changes in?
Yes, that's a question I was expecting from you. So the question, what the way you can do is, let's create another sample index here, maybe sample index 3. And if I say put sample index 3, I'm just creating index now to provide the configuration. Not mapping, it's on the replica. 1 second, I'm just have to take the. What is the command? Once again. Yeah, I need to use something for settings. Slash settings. Now I'm going for the configuration mode. If I type something called index or replication itself, can you see here? I'm
Yes.
just turning it off to zero. Okay, it says that no index found. Maybe let's do it for the sample index 2 itself. We are trying to reconfigure it. Okay, it's done. Now let's go and query the system here. Can you see how what happened now?
Okay, okay,
So both the primary shard count and the replica level can be modified according to your need.
okay.
So by default, it actually provides you with the one. But if you want to have like number of primary shard is equal to 3 or 4, which you can configure during your index creation, and the
Okay.
replication factor can be updated dynamically. That's the beauty here. Let's say we
Okay.
started with the zero, we started with one, we can change to zero. That is allowed. But what is the catch here is we can't do similarly for the shard because once the data is divided, it's hard for me to reconcile, right? So the only
Right.
that option can be done on the beginning. We can't modify now and then. That's a small difference. You are
Okay.
clear, with that, right?
Yes, yes.
So things what and all we gone through is we understood the query to get all the documents or all the databases present in the system using the cat indices command. That's one thing we done. The second command what we gone through is select star using the get and the index name and applying underscore search. We are able to get all the documents for the given index. That's the second one. And the third
Right.
one, we are able to create the index separately using the put command. Then the next step is using the post command, which allows to create the document inside the given index. Either we can do with the document ID, which is like a user defined, or we can allow the system pick up the document ID on its own. So we also understood that okay, if the document ID is if you allow the system to allow to pick it up the same ID on its own, we see some kind of pattern. That's the only thing we have to know right now. We will be discussing how the UID is actually making a big impact at the cluster level. So that's one thing.
Okay.
We also open and saw the data folder, how the folder actually resides here. Okay, and the
Okay.
last part what we are discussing on the cluster status. We are discussing on the cluster status, indicating that there are like a three different things: the red, yellow, and green. And we also understood what makes it yellow or the green part. You are clear till this
Okay.
point, right?
Yes. And this UUID, that ID what we are giving, can we give it as a number or any kind of data type, right?
Is for the document level, or you are saying on the index level?
No, no, document level. That number what you have given one. Instead of one, I can give some name or something, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Let us say, see, it's able to do it. Let's query and get it. Can you see here the
Okay.
NA part?
Yes.
So for computers, basically like alphanumeric or fully numeric, it all sees as a binary, right? So it doesn't make any big problem for you because this thing itself like alphanumeric. Can you see here, right? This itself like
Yes.
alphanumeric. Then it means that we can give like name of any name what comes to your mind, the name or the alphanumeric values. That is possible. And one more thing to notice here, we discussed about the health and we know what's the index name and we understood what is the UID. This UID is
Right.
like a unique ID, which is used to distinguish the folder in the Elasticsearch level. That's one thing. And we know what's the primary and the replication. And one thing we don't notice here is on the status. It says something called open, right?
Right.
So what would be the opposite of open here?
Closed.
Yeah. So the main difference what you have to understand here is when they say some document or index is open, which means it's ready for search. You can also turn off an index for the close status. Now you all of a sudden you might strike a question. Why they are opening and closing the document? Why don't they destroy completely? That is a like kind of very valid question. But let me
Okay.
introduce you some your better use case. Let's say you have a company, telecom company. You are recording your call information record for over like past 1 year. Okay, that is your
Mhm.
requirement. Let's say suppose you want to maintain only last 30 days of information. Other details you can store it in some data lake or data warehouse. That is like a better use case control. But your manager come and says that no, no, you just hold your data for last 6 months, but make the data only available to the user for only 1 month. In this case, what you can do to make the user to available only 1 month is you can restrict in the query level, right? So you can make sure
Right.
that query doesn't go exceed the 1 month. That's a one level of control you can do. But the better way of control, what you can do with the system is you can close the index itself, which is like turning off the engine. Like you, let's say you have like 3 to 4 bikes in your home, you don't want a bike to be actively used because when you turn on a bike, it consumes petrol and it consumes battery, which is like a CPU and the RAM usage. If you turn off any of your bike, it goes to the idle state, right? Basically it's turned off, but still it
Right.
is there in the system or still it's there in your home. Nothing changes till this point. Is the can you relate that kind of functionality here, right? Here, right? Similarly, close is also a kind of functionality which will help you to turn off the given index whatever you have. You can explicitly turn off your index. And let's turn off the index and try to see what happens now. Put sample index to there's a close once again. Close. Yeah, clear this till this point, Mark, you're right?
Yes. Yes.
Great. It says acknowledge equal to true. Let's go and query the document and see whether how it comes now. Can you see here?
Yes. Close.
It is closed completely. If I go and query the command, which is like getting the all the document, see what is the error you get here.
Disclosed as an exception. Okay.
So it clearly indicates that I can't work with the given index because it's already turned off. So something like you can't bike engine because the key is actually missing, something of that sort. You can try to reconnect with that example. You're clear till this point, right?
Yes. And in future, if you want, we can open it again, right?
Yes, we just have to change to close to open. That's it.
Okay.
If you open, again it comes for the search. Yes, we got it. Clear, right?
Yes. Yes.
And the important thing why this can be applied is like generally in during like a time series log indexing system, most of the people will standard practice it. They try to create the index on daily basis. Let's say you have an index something called Airtel. I'm just creating a hypothetical case. Airtel day one of the January 1, January 2. They will start the prefix called Airtel and the division name hyphen Jan 1, something like the sort. And Airtel division name and Jan 2. Similarly, you might, if you trying to run the system for 365 days, You will have all the details for a given day in each of the index. That's a standard practice people would follow. In certain situation, it might require like a hourly basis, or in such situation, it might even require you on minute basis, depending upon your workload. Okay, so like if you are going on the every day, if you start to create an index, then you can turn off your index like whichever which is very fast for you. With the help of a date itself, you can go and turn it off, right? We don't generally this feature would be mostly used where they try to create the index on the daily basis, because then only then it makes sense, right? If I go and entirely turn off, there is no specific point. Let's say you're operating for last 6 months in a single index. If I go and turn it off, my last 1 month data I can't really get out of it. Only if you try to have like a modular approach, you really can make a better out of it. You're clear to this point, right?